If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my.
I done been around the world. Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
I am J.A. Cavalier, your favorite capper's favorite capper. This here is Player Performance. Go ahead, smash the like button, thumbs up. As always, appreciation is appreciated. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Now go subscribe. We do this here every week. We do it for free. We do it for the community. We have a lot to get to this week. We're going to be joined by the coach, Rick Bowe. We're going to be joined by Prop Master Luke Shuey, Sharky Waters, and Junior Brown, the entire Why Lose team, bringing you all the information you need to beat the books. We're going to get started with Week 6 in just a sec. First, let's recap Week 5 with Tessa Hall.
Back it up.
One more time.
All right, let's see that again.
Here's your NFL Week 5 recap. Baker is supposed to be the cool QB, but it was Kirk Cousins swag surfing after Thursday Night Football. Every week I think, I can't believe Aaron Rodgers didn't stay in the dark house doing drugs. So maybe Andy Dalton wasn't the solution in Carolina? Not when you lose by 26 to Chicago. Deshaun Watson never walked out of a massage parlor early, but he did walk off the field and quit on his team. QB mid-off, advantage Tyler Huntley and the Dolphins. Colts, Jags, greatest game ever? No, but the Jags showed out and got their first win. Sean McDermott should be tried and convicted for his time management to let the Texans win. Speaking of tried and convicted, add Zach Taylor to that list. Settled for a 53-yarder and let Cincy win the game of the year. When the Broncos score 34 on you, you know the season might be over. Sorry, Vegas. The 49ers were like a baby who shit themselves and then threw up at the same time against the Cardinals. Winning on a blocked field goal return for a score? That's what makes football the greatest. Thank you, Giants. Matt Stafford might demand a trade back to Detroit after another horrendous game from the Rams. Jalen Tolbert took a ball to the balls and then caught the game-winning ball on the very next play. If I have to watch Derek Carr in primetime one more time, I might not be able to watch football again. That's your NFL Week 5 recap.
So a couple of stories to cover here. Now, as a fellow degenerate, my heart was warmed on Saturday. First, I watched a group of kids tear down goalposts, rally together, and they got this thing out of Vanderbilt Stadium. Then they trek it 3 miles with a mob behind them and unload the post into the Cumberland River in Nashville. In that river also went Alabama's pride. Pretty fucking impressive, and they also caught it on film from helicopters. Now, of course, we have to get to the New York Jets, the Jets, Jets. Aaron Rodgers made it really clear this week he's calling the shots over there in New York. After 5 weeks, the Jets have canned coach Robert Saleh. Of course, this is an act of desperation. But to be fair, this was a train wreck. Robert Saleh was 20-36 as their head coach. Rodgers and the Jets, 2-3 on the season. But it isn't the record. It's the bad decisions, the clock mismanagement. They have looked awful and out of sync offensively. Rodgers was crawling around like a senior citizen on life alert after taking a big shot against the Vikings. Saleh is the scapegoat here. We all know that, but let's be real. This was coming at some point. I just figured he'd at least get the season, but clearly they needed a shot in the arm. Now let's get on to NFL Week 6. Free picks from J.A. Cavalier and the Why Lose team.
Jaguars versus Bears.
The Bears are laying 3. The total is at 45.5. Now, as soon as this game flashed on the screen on Sunday, I said I was all in. I knew I was going to want all things Duval. It's not just the Jaguars were up 14. It's Caleb Williams. What the Bear fans are going to call Caleb's coming out party, I call it the Panthers defense. First off, Caleb Williams has yet to come out. I mean, he will, just hasn't yet. Second, this is going to be a reality check. Rookie quarterback on the road, but not just on the road. He's out of country in London. This is the Jaguars' second home. Jacksonville is the best 1-4 NFL team that I've ever seen. They beat Indianapolis with a great offense. Barely lost to a really good Houston Texan team. Should have beat Miami in Miami with Tua. Run the ball, control the clock. Chicago's 23rd in yards per rush. Jacksonville, second best in yards per rush offensively. Brigsby is now taking off. He and Travis Etienne are becoming a two-headed monster. You may not want the points. You're probably not going to need the points, but take the points with the Jaguars.
Cardinals versus Packers.
Packers are laying 5. The total here is at 49.5. Now, a little surprising for me, the market's actually favoring the Cardinals. Immediately, I look to the over. I mean, Cardinals off their Super Bowl win last week. Packers got love back and back on track. High octane, fast track football usually opens up the props market. So, of course, we bring in the props master, Luke Shuey. Luke, we know you're targeting a play here. Who are you targeting?
Yeah, so I've been all over, the Green Bay plays these last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, I kind of went opposite. I went Aaron Jones to torch Green Bay. That cashed. Last week I was on Josh Jacobs, Green Bay to go over his rushing line. That cashed. So we gotta go 3 plays in a row here. You think I'm going over with this being an over game? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say anything. I just said the game's going to go over. I'm waiting for you to tell me who you like.
Nah, you know me way too well. I'm going in unders. I'm going in under here. I'm an unders guy when there's good value. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I've got another under lock for you here. We're going Tucker KRAFT, tight end position for the Packers to be under 41.5 yards. Receiving, I expect this line to move possibly 3 to 5 yards come Sunday. And let me tell you about Tucker KRAFT. So he's from South Dakota. He's a small town kid. He's meant to be in Green Bay. Have you seen the pictures of him drinking Busch Lights, smoking heaters? He's bred to be a Wisconsin boy. I give him credit. He does a lot with a little bit of God-given talent. He works hard. But last week, people are now drooling all over him as the next best fantasy tight end. He had 88 yards, 2 touchdowns last week, but there was a bit of an outlier. He escaped on a 66-yard touchdown catch with bad tackling. They're going to guard him. I think Arizona's decent covering the tight end position. His line is just too inflated. We're going under here. Take KRAFT under 41.5 yards.
You lost me as soon as you said, I think Arizona's good at.
Colts versus Titans.
So Indianapolis is laying 1 in total. Here's at 43.5. The tickets and the money are on the Colts and the over. Will Levis is questionable. Anthony Richardson also questionable. Both of these backups have actually looked a little bit better. Mason Rudolph, of course, in a small dose. But Joe fucking Flacco has looked amazing. Jaguars pulled away by 2 touchdowns. And Smoking Joe brought them right back into the game before losing by 3. It's a divisional game. Coach, question. You have one quarterback playing hot, playing really well in Joe Flacco. Even if Anthony Richardson is ready to go, do you pull the plug on Joe?
It's not my decision, and I'm glad it isn't. If it was me, Joe Flacco starts a game and he plays because I like to win. The problem that they have, of course, is, however X many $1 million they have invested in Anthony Richardson, they got to play him. So.
You saw the face. Who do you like in the actual game there, Coach?
So there's 10 home dogs this week. Tennessee's one of them. You mentioned Levis. He's questionable. I think he's going to play. He got the week off. And he's actually really good after he gets some rest. So, he's only played 4 games, but he's 3-1 straight up. In all the other games, 1-7. Maybe that tells you something. But teams coming off a bye tend to do pretty well. Teams that come off a bye and they play a team that just goes through their normal routine, they tend to win at a 56% clip. If that team is playing a team in its division, you bump that up a little bit, they win 58% of the time. And if that team on extended rest happens to be playing at home, the winning percentage actually goes up to 64%. Now, does that mean anything? I don't know. But one thing that does mean something is Tennessee's defense. It's pretty good. They're number 1 in the NFL in total defense. They're number 1 against the pass. Teams have a hard time throwing against them. Whether it's Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson, I don't think that matters. I think Tennessee will have some confidence going into this game because they're 5-2 straight up in the last 7 against the Colts. So coming off a bye as a home underdog, I like Tennessee on the money line. The price is right.
Now, this was a spot you used to absolutely back Tennessee in automatically. This was an auto ride off of a bye with Vrabel, but as we know, Vrabel is no longer there. Coach still likes Tennessee in this spot. Listen, I'm going to say this about the Titan defense. They definitely get a lot or give up more and have a lot more problems when it comes to mobile quarterbacks. Joe Flacco certainly isn't that. So if you're backing the Titans, you definitely want to pray for Flacco in this game.
Amen. Him and his cement shoes.
Browns versus Eagles.
The Eagles are laying 8.5 or 9. The total here is at 43. So the tickets and the money are coming in on the Eagles. Now, there's a reason that this total has also moved down. 82% of the tickets are on the over, and yet it's gone down. But the big money here is pushing this one the opposite way. Look, Deshaun Watson's inept. The fans are calling for his head. They want to see Jameis in. Stefanski wanted to go for it on 4th down last week. Watson walked off the field. Oddest thing I've ever seen. Clearly, this won't be a Watson prop, will it?
I don't think I was going to say the same thing. People are saying, bring in famous Jameis, bring in famous Jameis. I don't really care what's going to happen at the quarterback position in this situation because I'm looking at the running back position. And I actually love Jerome Ford here. Again, I think this is a sharp play. I don't think it's a public play because people are just waiting for Nick Chubb to return. He's seen back at practice. The dude's been, squatting, 500, 600 pounds plus. He looks good, but I don't think the Browns rush him back. I don't think he's back this week. If he is, he's barely going to play. So we actually like Jerome Ford's over on his rushing yards, sitting at 41.5. He's going to get the bulk of the carries, and he's done well. They just don't have the ball enough with Watson at the helm for him to get enough carries. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry. He's going over this number 4 of 5 games. I don't see any reason they don't hammer the rock here against Philly. With the kicker, Philly's defense is ranked 21st in the NFL. They're giving up 130 plus rushing yards per game. We have Ford projected at about 50, 55 yards minimum here. That's a good advantage on the line. I love the over. What do you think, Jay?
Actually, I have no problem with that. Plus, Philly's been getting gas from the ground, so I could definitely see that one happening. I'll tail that one. I'll definitely tail that one. So you have Ford over rushing yards. He is Luke Shuey, the prop master. You can find him on wlose.com/props. Also, you want to make sure you get in his free pick Telegram channel. That's Why Lose Props. Guy just gives out free picks every day, every sport, whether it be baseball, basketball, or football. So you want to check him out on Telegram. Check him out on wlose.com. Prop Master, I'm going to see you back here next week. Do you have anything else to add?
You know it. I got 3 picks for you on NFL Sunday. I got 3 picks for you every single day. Don't miss out what we're doing. We're doing it well.
I'll also make sure you check out his show, Give Me Props.
That's right. I got my own YouTube segment. We get to break it down daily. Don't miss it.
I am your father, Luke.
Maybe that should be the new segment name. I got to do something Star Wars related.
You could do call him Daddy.
Now that's good.
JA Cavaliers Pro Football Triple Crown. 3 NFL games for this Sunday. 3 straight, 3 two-team parlays, 1 week, $99. His Pro Football Triple Crown must go 3-0 or the entire NFL season is free. JA Cavaliers Pro Football Triple Crown. Link in the description below. Click the link now and jump on the money train.
Commanders versus Ravens.
Ravens are laying 6.5. The total here is at 52.5. Now, to bet anything other than the over is just a crime. Hammer it before the total moves even more. See, here's the deal. Washington scores the most points in the league, 31 a game. You know who ranks second? The Ravens. They're at 29.4 a game. These two teams can and they will light up the scoreboard. And I get it. People still view this Ravens defense as something it isn't. Elite. It's not even good anymore. Their defense has been getting gashed. They give up the 6th most points in the league. Teams averaging at least 26, 25 or more in 4 or 5 games. Cincinnati got 38 last week in a loss. Ravens have the 31st ranked pass defense. Commanders defense, just as bad. Both teams also trend over 4 or 5 for Baltimore, 3 straight for Washington. Give me the over 52.5.
Chargers versus Broncos.
The Chargers are laying 3. The total here is at 35.5. So 70% of the money is now coming in on the Broncos. I actually lean Denver as well. I like the total a little bit more in this one. But Shark, you have a play on the Chargers. Tell me who you like. Tell me why you like them.
Yeah, 4 o'clock here in Denver. Love the Chargers at -3, and I think it's just a great buy low. Chargers coming off a bye. Herbert notably injured pre-bye. I think he's getting treatment, 2 weeks off. He'll bounce back, and we expect the team to bounce back as well, off back-to-back losses going into the bye, but I think representative. At Pittsburgh, that's a tough out. Against Kansas City, a tough out for anybody. And you go to the Denver side of this game, Denver's won 3 consecutive games outright with a rookie quarterback. The coach called his quarterback Ferris Bueller in the postgame. If this is Ferris Bueller, how are we going to expect him to win 4 in a row when he's got 3? He's way too hot at 4-1 ATS. And speaking of streaking, the Denver Broncos have dominated the Chargers in a small window. 3-0 straight up last 3, home favorite last year. This is where the Chargers are already 2-0 ATS in the division this year as a favorite, and Denver's only non-cover of the year as a home dog at a -3 point for the Steelers. Love the Chargers here. Little disagreement, but conversation is amazing. Take the Chargers and let's dominate this one.
Now, I like I said, I lean Broncos, but I'm bigger on the under itself. I mean, look, there's a reason that the total's already dropped a full point, right? The under is the move here, in my opinion. The defenses are elite. The Chargers are second in DVOA. But another thing for me is not only is Justin banged up, but a bigger part of that is I still don't know what I get from Coach Khaki Pants off of a bye. That's my biggest issue. Coach, how come coaches and how teams react off of a bye week? It's different for every team in the NFL. If you don't think it plays a big deal, then guys, you don't know football. This is a huge deal. So I'm more in watch, wait, and see mode than actually jumping in on the game, which is why I do like the under. I want to see how Harbaugh comes out off of a bye, how Herbert's going to be with this injury. It's hard to trust a quarterback or take a quarterback who's just been banged up, right?
Yeah, I think it is. And, I think it's an interesting coaching matchup. As you mentioned, you get Harbaugh here, second round as an NFL coach versus Peyton, second round as an NFL coach. So tons of intrigue. And I think the under, as you mentioned, great look. Both teams are playing elite defense. And, truthfully, in terms of the injury, when you look at the game that I correlated to, Pittsburgh was laying 3 points in Denver and did cover. Justin Fields and an injured Justin Herbert, to me, are kind of on an equal plane throwing the ball. So I think regardless of that, I do like the Chargers to cover on the road, but I think the under is a great look given the defensive quality in this game.
All right, so he is on the Chargers. I will be on the under, and we will see him back here in this episode as well.
Steelers versus Raiders.
Steelers are laying 3. The total here is at 36.5. Now, Luke, of course, last week, I begged you not to fade Coleman. I told you he could get that on one catch. That's exactly what he did. Now, of course, people are going to look at you and say, hey, Luke, you're an idiot. Luke, you suck. Luke, you lost. But it was actually a great pick. And I actually can't even argue with the pick. You had it locked in. You had it locked into the point that, it was the right side, right? And I've always said this. I can accept the loss and a bad beat as long as my handicap is correct. But that's what happens. When you pick up the ugliest girl at the bar, you get herpes. Sometimes you just get burned.
Now ain't that the damn truth? I mean, he had 1 catch, and yet he still went over his line because it was a bomb. You warned me of that. I'm not going to lie. You said, hey, he could be a deep threat. But I knew he wasn't going to get targeted all game. That just wasn't bound to happen. But hey, at least I hit you on the right side with that CD play, huh? The Steelers.
Yeah, but actually after that, I stopped telling you. No, I was never telling you on the CD anyway. I'm not going to lie. Actually, I did have a play on the Steelers in that game, and really, that was all I was dialed into for Sunday night. That's full transparency. Not a good weekend for your boy here last Sunday. Just things didn't go or fall into place the way that I projected. It's all right. It happens. I swept the board 3 or 4 weeks prior. A bad week was obviously coming. So books better watch out this week. Who do you like in this game here?
I was going to say it's hard to have back-to-back good weeks. It's going to happen. But that CD line was sharp. I'm not going to let you forget it. I was all over the Steelers defense. In this one, we're actually going to go with the Steelers offensive player. We're looking at Justin Fields' quarterback position. His passing yards line sits at 189.5. It's the NFL. It's 2024. Guys should be able to throw for 200 easily, but we don't think he's going to tonight. He has a lot of pressure. He started off 3-0. Now guys are whispering in his ear, is Russell Wilson coming? Is Russell Wilson coming? He's never been very efficient through the air throughout his career. We're actually going to fade him in a game that looks to go well under on most of the stats. The over-under, as you said, sits at 36.5. I love the Raiders and Steelers to keep this an ugly game. A lot of running, hit the ground running, and not a lot of air action here. Pittsburgh's going to hammer the rock against the Raiders defense. And Fields has gone under this number in 3 of 5 games. We love it to go under again. Take under 189.5 yards.
Now that one, I'll actually give you no pushback. I mean, the truth of the matter is even if Fields started to go off and started to air it out, Tomlin would shut that shit down. He just doesn't give Fields the opportunity to air it out. So actually, I kind of like that play. I'm definitely going to tail that play. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to pick somebody from the audience. Just my kind, good giving nature here. If that prop wins, that's gonna be the lucky pick of the day here. If that prop wins, somebody from the audience is gonna pick up a $200 Amazon gift card. I'm gonna tail it. It cashes. Somebody wins a $200 Amazon gift card. Luke, you're gonna go into the comments when this show is posted, and you're gonna pick who the winner will be if the prop wins.
Love it. Give them your best comment. Don't go half-assed here. We want to hear it from you guys. And one last thing, if you didn't see the eye test last Sunday night, Fields can be really shitty. He had a 55% completion rate. We think he's trending downward. Back us up on that.
Don't shit on Fields, man. Don't shit on Fields. I still have a soft spot for Justin Fields.
I mean, he's a good dude. I don't love his play this week.
I'm not arguing. All right, let's go. Moving on.
Lions versus Cowboys.
So the Detroit Lions are laying 3 to 3.5. Depends where you shop at. I think I did see it at 3 in most of the market. Total here is at 52.5. Money and tickets are on Detroit. Look, I get it. Revenge game for the Lions. They took a loss in Jerry's house last season. Rumors swirling around Devontae Adams to the Cowboys. It would make complete sense, right? But this would be the most unlike Jerry thing to do ever, right? Cowboys fans, look, we're fucked. At least until Jerry Jones is dead, we're fucked. And I'm not wishing harm on Jerry, but this man is going to go to his grave clutching onto this team, calling in draft picks from his fucking deathbed. Look, they eked out a win on Sunday night. Shark, can they do it again?
I don't think so, and I agree. I mean, you talk Cowboys, you're 30 years removed from championships. This is looking like potentially a little heater early 90s. And you talk about what's going on in this game, this is a great spot to buy Detroit. Detroit is upstart, incredibly well coached, well managed from the ownership box down to the field. And Detroit last week actually won a game against Seattle outside of the division in the NFC. That was a 6-time revenge game against Seattle. What is this game? A 6-time revenge game against Dallas. This team is the best team they've had in 35 years. They will be out big time. And I think even more specifically, as you mentioned last year, a 2019 loss in week 17 at Jerry World. Zooming into the game, you guys will probably remember this when I tell you, Detroit actually did convert a 2-point conversion to win the game in the fourth quarter, but the refs said the lineman who caught the ball had not declared, but he had. So the Detroit Lions actually did win that game per rules. they will be on a complete high level of motivation here. And on Dallas, very briefly, as I'm sure you know, J.A., Dallas was elite at home for 3.5 seasons, covering almost every spread, not losing any game. That has shifted recently. 1-5 ATS last 6, 3 straight really ugly losses dating back to a blowout against Green Bay in the playoffs. And this is the first time that Dallas has been a home dog at this figure since week 1, 2022 against the Brady Bucks. Same line, Bucks blew them out by 16 points. I think you're going to get Detroit's A game. I think Dallas is in shambles, potentially a lame duck coach. And as you mentioned, the owner just not really the guy at this point. Take Detroit -3 on this one.
I can't argue. I mean, Dallas is so banged up right now. They are 0-2 on the season at home. But guys, you guys already know it's the Detroit fucking Lions. So you know where my head is at. If you follow me at all, you already know. My Tuesday routine. Tuesday morning, I wake up in this order. David Montgomery, anytime touchdown, morning coffee, and then sex. Tuesday was a good fucking day in the Cavalier household. So I am on Montgomery anytime touchdown. Sharky, of course, is on the Detroit Lions. I have no argument there. We're going to get back to Sunday Night Football with Shark. You can find him at whylose.com/Shark. Shark, we'll see you a little bit later in the show, buddy.
Falcons versus Panthers.
Falcons are laying 6. Actually, this one opened up at 4.5. The Sharp said, nope, that's too low. They immediately banged it up to 6. I kind of like it at 6 as well. Panthers offense, impossible to trust. Falcons have not played since Thursday, so they're going to come in well rested. Falcons are my survivor pick this week in all my biggest pools. Coach, do they also win by margin?
Well, here's another team coming in on extended rest. Atlanta, big win. Kirk Cousins went off. But Kirk Cousins actually doesn't play that well when he's had a lot of time off. In his career, 13-18 straight up, 11-20 against the spread. Over the last 20 years, this is amazing. He is 225th out of 227 quarterbacks. And guess who the 2 worst guys are? It's just amazing. Tony Romo and Phillip Rivers. So, does the extended rest help Atlanta or Cousins? I don't know. Since 2020, Atlanta also just 7-18-1 against the spread after a straight up win. It was a big win. They went to overtime. It's a division rival. I think it's a letdown spot. You're looking at a Panthers team that's garbage. One thing Atlanta doesn't do very well is get after the quarterback. They only have 5 sacks so far this season. And I know it's Andy Dalton, but he's not a world beater, but he is an NFL veteran and he's still playing for a reason. Can the Panthers hang around? I think so. Maybe this gives them a little confidence. They're 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 against the Falcons. I don't know. Maybe the Hurricane has something to do with it, and they just play for all the, Cletus and Vern and Daryl and all those guys that, aren't living the dream anymore because of the Hurricane. I don't know. I just feel like Carolina can pull it together and hang. Plus, there's this. And it worked last week, and it's been working all season. I still like it. Underdogs, 6 or more. 16-2-1 against the spread so far this season. They cover by an average of 7.8 points. I'm going Carolina +6. For Cleveland.
I don't like it. I don't hate it. I mean, it's ugly. Ugly wins, ugly cashes. Problem here is Carolina's really banged up. Any name that matters on defense will be out. So maybe this is a better look to the over if you want to trust Dalton at all. Because if the Carolina Panthers are going to win this game, they're going to have to score points. If they're going to score points, you figure with how banged up they are on defense, Atlanta's also going to be able to provide some. Even if it isn't by Kirk Cousins, you still have a 2-headed monster at running back there. Bijan's likely to hit a home run on any swing, right? So I'm not going to trust Carolina. not in their spot, not with how banged up they are. Coach likes them. Coach does win, and ugly picks also win. 6 or more points dogs also win. So there's quite a bit of trends working with you, but something has to give. All right,
True.
I am going to lock into the over on this game. Coach is on the dog.
Bengals versus Giants.
So my best bet last week was the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I released it on during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday. I released it to clients at +3.5, so it was a winner. But on the show, I got a little cocky. I said you could take the Bengals outright. I said they would win it on the field. Of course they didn't. They blew 3 10-point leads in that game. I was 100% on the right side, and sometimes on the wrong side of the right bet, right? McPherson is clutch, never misses a field goal, Holder muffs the snap, and kick is shanked. Should I double down on Cincinnati this week, Sharky?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really think you're finding just the absolute bottom out point for this team. 1-4 straight up. But I think you're seeing an ATS polarization here, which really makes you want to continue to buy this team on the road. You said it, there was a 3.5 and then there was a 2.5. If we're calling it 2.5, they didn't cover, which would make them 0-3 ATS at home. 3 outright losses, more importantly. 2-0 ATS on the road. Far more impressive. Almost beat Kansas City in week 2. Took care of business against Carolina in week 4 on a similar number. And I think that's very important. They do function very well on the road at the NFC in the Joe Burrow era, going 6-1 ATS last 7. And truly, this is a desperation game. Burrow's in the press conference. He's probably going to get another haircut this week, trying to refresh the energy. But he senses desperation for the first time all year. And I was watching NFL Network. My guy Kyle Brandt said, "We'll see you guys in training camp." Shots fired, because I think this team can come back. They have a lot of games coming up. They still have 5 more divisional games. They have a longer schedule now, obviously, with 17 regular season games. I think this is a great spot to fade the Giants, who actually are the polar opposite to what we just described with Cincinnati. The Giants are 2-1 straight up on the road, 0-2 straight up, and ATS at home, coming off of really a huge effort in Seattle, a huge high. And New York and the Giants are 0-4 ATS last 4 as a home underdog with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. This is psychology. This is must win. This is game 7 Burrow if it existed in this sport. And this is a great spot to fade the Giants here. Buy the Bengals at -3.5 on Sunday Night Football.
I like it. I love it. I'm definitely fucking betting it. I will have some sort of Bengals action for sure. I'm probably just going to buy it down to a 2.5, get myself underneath the field goal. Listen, guys, that half a point is ginormous. Now, if this starts ticking up to 4, 4 is also a football number, but if you could do whatever you have to do, whatever little bit of work, I don't mind paying 140 to get a team at 2.5 instead of laying the 3.5. That's how much that point means to me. If you have the Bengals, and I can absolutely see them up 10 late in the game, and then the Giants just come down with a late backdoor touchdown. So I would suggest try and get this underneath the field goal, or at least get it down to 3. There's no harm in getting that half a point on a push, right?
I agree. And I would make a comment for people that are watching the show over the weekend. We're recording this a little earlier. I'm actually seeing significant steam coming on the Giants. I think you might actually get -3 on Friday or Saturday. So I think you might not even have to buy any juice to take it down to 3. And again, I think that's recency bias in the market. Like, people are not having these conversations like myself and JA here. They're just thinking, well, what Kyle Brandt said is right on NFL Network. We'll see you in training camp. Long season. Buy this one 100% at the low point.
Now, a lot of guys in this business try to be contrarian just to be contrarian because they believe it looks good if they take an unpopular dog and that dog happens to cover or win outright. So they're being contrarian just to be contrarian. They'll sit here and they'll pick these ugly teams every week, all week long. But of course, they don't recap their numbers from the shows. They don't recap to show you exactly what they've done with those ugly dogs. I know that there's some shows out there who have literally picked the Carolina Panthers every fucking week this season. At what point do you understand Panthers just suck? They're not covering spreads. And even if they cover at the end of the season, what are they going to cover? 30-40% of the games they've played at best? It's just a losing proposition to make yourself look smart. And all you're doing is a disservice to those who are listening and following.
Without question. And I think, as you said, there's really a notorious side to these, quote, contrarian sharp bettors. I mean, I remember going back to the Detroit season where they didn't win a game, the Cleveland season where they didn't win a game. Sharp Report every week had those teams on record. So it's like, guys, you have to be able to balance your bets in the market. Sometimes it's a buy low. Sometimes the same team is a sell the very next week. And as Jay said, there's so much zigzag in professional football. And there's so much parity in the league right now. These teams, more than anything, are going to win one, lose one, back and forth this year. Not a lot of dominance on one side or the other.
And you're getting the Bengals here off of a loss on a down season. And then you have the Giants coming home now off of what's been two competitive games. But you look at what they played. They played a beat-up Dallas Cowboy team who had a flag on pretty much every third down, couldn't get the Giants off the field. And then Seattle last week, it's still Geno Smith. At the end of the fucking day, I don't want to hear anything about the Seattle Seahawks team. It's still Geno fucking Smith. At the end of the day, that's who their quarterback is. And so they're not going to be some world beater. They're going to be a decent competitive team because they have a great defense and a strong running game and a freak of fucking nature on the wideout in Metcalf. But at the end of the day, it's still Geno fucking Smith. All right. That is Sunday Night Football. Shark and I are both in lockstep. We both agree on the Cincinnati Bengals. Shark, love having you on the show. We'll see you back here next week.
Bills versus Jets.
The Bills are laying 2.5. The total here is at 41. Now, here it is, Bills Mafia. Are you listening? I am the savior of Buffalo. I'm going to fix the Buffalo Bills offense. And I promise a couple things are going to happen. Josh Allen MVPs, Super Bowl rings. Just going to do it with Brian Dable. Don't give me that Brian Dable and Giant shit. I know his record off of a loss. I know his record off of an ATS loss and his work with Josh Allen in the past. Imagine contending on an episode of Chopped, and one of your ingredients is a bag of shit. You can slice it, dice it, bake it, boil it, stir fry it. It's still going to taste like shit. Daniel Jones is stir-fried shit. And still, the Giants have been competitive, or at least respectful. This game Monday night, there's no help. Josh Allen, concussed last week, fatal. Under 226 yards passing. He always struggles against the Jets. Now he comes in a little bit wobbly against an elite passing defense, second in total yards, third in completions. Quarterback rating against him is third best in the league. He has gone under this prop in 6 of 11 games versus the New York Jets. Not to mention, Robert Saleh out. Jets are going to play with a little bit of motion. Team on fire. Bad news for Buffalo. Worse for Josh Allen. Give me Allen's passing yards under.
JA Cavaliers Pro Football Triple Crown. 3 NFL games for this Sunday. 3 straight, 3 two-team parlays, 1 week, $99. His Pro Football Triple Crown must go 3-0 or the entire NFL season is free. JA Cavaliers Pro Football Triple Crown. Link in the description below. Click the link now and jump on the money train.
So in closing, our prayers are with everyone in Florida this week on the eve here of Hurricane Milton. See, this is recorded on Wednesday. It's going to air sometimes Thursday, maybe Friday morning. My prayers and condolences to everyone impacted. Some are going to lose a little. Some will lose everything. Material items can always be replaced, but not people. The people are important. You're important. Your family are important. If you're in a position, if you have the means, please donate. Red Cross or charity of choice, whatever you can spare. You have no idea how much spare change means to a family with nothing. That's it for me this week. I hope to see all of you back here next week. as we break down NFL Week 7.
3-point spread winners posted daily on ylose.com. That's the letter Y, LOSC.com.